just we gotta be better than that. Last few times we've been in the stadium, the last 3 games we haven't finished or we got blown out. So that's not what you want to put on film. I don't think that's indicative, like I said, who we are. But it doesn't matter what you are inside; is what you put out there on the field. And I'm a big believer in that, and so I'm gonna continue to try to be a better person, be a better leader, be a better player, and try to bring some guys with me. And but it's time for just all of us to look in to see either this could be a long year or we can figure out how to fix things and come back and we got Atlanta next week. So yeah, we got to figure it out quick.
Do you think you all need to reset a little bit now?
Yeah, we definitely got to get back in the lab, see what's going on. And everybody need to look in the mirror and move forward from there.
Is it frustrating knowing that this defense is better than what we're seeing in these last probably 4 games?
It was very frustrating, especially knowing the guys that we got in the room, knowing the guys we got in the locker room is definitely frustrating. We came out flat. We got this memo that we like to get punched in the mouth first and then respond. We got to stop doing that.
We watch the film, and then it's on to the next game. Don't got no time to be dwelling on the past, man. We got a lot of football left, and it's about getting better and improving each and every week.
I don't look at it as more frustrating or less frustrating. I think at the end of the day, it's either you made your play or you didn't. So if you don't make your plays, you're going to be frustrated. It's going to haunt you. It's going to be tough to sleep. But that's life as a DB. And like I said, tonight he made plays that we didn't, and it showed out.
When you look at this defense, the talent's out here. What's been happening in the last few games?
We just ain't been making the plays that we need to make, you know what I'm saying, to get off the field and help our team win.
Is it frustrating that some of the things that's happening out there, is it fixable? How do you turn this around?
I mean, we just got to keep going, you know what I'm saying, come in every day, keep working, watch the film, and just make the plays that come to us, you know what I'm saying? Like you said, we got talent, but if we're not making plays, then that talent don't mean nothing.
Welcome to In the Minute podcast. Donna Hopkins let me open up today, and because she want to talk about a facet of the team that hasn't played well. Matter of fact, they've been giving up 36 points a game the last 4 games. Not many good pass rushes, maybe 2 or 3 sacks. So this high price defense is not doing its job right now. And Donna, we might as well hit it big. The Commanders, if they're going to be command of their position, they are going to have to play a lot better defense than they're playing right now.
A lot better, Tony. As you can see, the Bears hadn't won a game they had a 14-game losing streak, hadn't won since October the 24th, 2023. And they came in there and just demoralized this Commanders team. Tony, the defense was supposed to be the meat of this team. They were supposed to be the strength. They're not even the slices of bread right now as far as this team goes, because, they gave up 380. Let's go back to the defense. You look at the breakdowns and what's going on right now with this defense, and it's disturbing because I can't wrap my head around what's been going on. They've given up 144 points in the last 4 games, 30 plus points each game. Where is the breakdowns, Tony, with this defense? Because you saw in that Chicago game, poor tackling. They looked like they were lost in the secondary, no pass rush. And Magic Johnson said something that he said that this team, he didn't even see any energy or anything, intensity from this team. He called them out. When you looked at their press box, as far as Josh Harris and Magic Johnson up there, Josh Harris was smiling a little bit, I guess, entertaining his guests. But Magic Johnson was mad. You can see the steam coming out of his face. He was about ready to bust because he was that angry about what's going on with this team right now. What do you see that's the breakdowns on defense? Because, Tony, it's been 4 weeks and they've been saying that we're going to get it together. Is it the scheme? Is it the players? Where is the breakdowns?
Schematically, I don't think it's the scheme because it's pretty much the same scheme they utilized. But if you think about how many games has it been since they've been trying to readjust their line and bring Chase back in? So everyone had to change the way they were playing. As a matter of fact, Sweat goes over to the left side a lot. When he was playing the right, the two defensive tackles are still in place. But that problem started last year when they had some good backups and they started getting rid of those backups. I'm not saying the backups they have now are not good, but what is really transpiring is they're learning to play together again. It's not working right now. And Chase is not playing bad. I'm not trying to blame it on him, but I think it's them not playing with him for a year, year and a half. And now they're trying to get that back together. But
Tony, you talk about one player. You talk about one player that
I was about to
learning to
go.
play together.
I feel the linebackers make plays, but if you want to really be truthful, it's just like the game they lost in overtime, a linebacker missed a real a real tackle that really could have saved the game. And this is something you're taught since you're in grade school to keep your angles right. So that it's not just the defensive line, you got the linebackers there, and then the defensive backs had a bad game. So right now, the total defense is not in the schematically, they got the same scheme, but they're not playing it the same. And they do have, and I'm not making excuses, they do have newer players and they have to
You
work
can't
together.
make excuses.
But at the same time, you play in the second half, they did play better, but you let Chicago, a team come in here, hadn't won in a year or two, and beat you, and you're talking about aspirations of going to the Super Bowl. That's not going to work. You got to get in. One thing, if Magic said it, you can see it. They didn't look like they had the fire that they need to have.
Well, Tony, why are they starting so slow? Because, I go back to what you said about, they're learning to play together. No. That's secondary to play together for 2 or 3 years now. Forbes got benched, struggled for the second week. And Coach Rivera said, as far as Forbes go, it's his technique right now that's lacking. And that has to get better. And they're working with him on his technique. So you understand the rookie and the mistakes he's making, but I'm talking about the other guys that's been here for a while that they shouldn't have these miscues because they look like they're lost in the secondary between the safeties and the corners. And even when you're saying about Chase is playing really well right now, and maybe it's the communication thing, but I can't buy what you're talking about, Tony. I'm not buying that because they play together enough that they shouldn't be having these breakdowns as they're having right now. And Coach Rivera, he talked about as far as them doing what they're supposed to do. And Montez Sweat, to me, I felt his passion in the locker room after the game because he said that people just need to do their jobs. And that to me is the main thing that's happening right now. You got people that's trying to do too much instead of just doing what they're supposed to do their jobs.
And you couldn't say it any better. And that's the one thing about it. When you get out there as a team, everyone has a job and they must perform that job and do it well as they can. At the same time, if you're looking at this team, you look at Sweat. I feel like Sweat and Payne have been the two consistent defensive linemen this year. I don't feel like no one else has really shown to be terribly consistent. At the same time, you look at Sweat as moving back over from the right to the left side. That changes a whole thought process. When you're on one side, you got to keep one shoulder free. When you're on the other, you got to always keep that inside shoulder free. So he has to go through that, but he's still playing well. I look at it, you got just enough mistakes at the lead line, not doing as good a pass rush. The middle linebackers not taking the middle of the field serious enough. And then you have your defensive backs, a bunch of young people that's making mistakes. You have just enough to take the edge off. But one thing about it is not enough for you can let a team average 36 points a game. If for the last 4 games, they've averaged 36 points. You can't do that. Something's not right. So they got to go and break this thing down and go and look at everybody, including the coaches, and say, what can we do to change this? What do we not have? Where did we lose that tremendous pass rush? And not only the pass rush, Donna, they're letting people run on them. That's what I just don't understand. And, some people got paid this year and Payne. I can't say anything about Payne. I think Payne and Sweat has been very, very good. And I look at Chase coming back. He's working his way in, but you see a lot of good things he's doing. Now what we had to do is coordinate it where everybody is working together as a group. And when you don't have them working together as a group on offense or defense, and especially the line position, you're going to have a problem. And that's what they have right now.
Hey, Tony, I'm going back. The Bears' long plays, 58, 39, 56 completions. They were getting those big plays. And then you go back. DJ Moore, 8 catches for 230 yards and 3 touchdowns. Let me read you something that Ron Rivera said in his post-game interview on Monday. He said, this defense trying to do more than they need to on plays. Individuals need to clean up some stuff. And they're trying to make plays. They're jumping routes. And that's one thing I look at Forbes. He was jumping the routes. And then when you jump routes, then you're giving up big plays if you don't make the play. And then, like you said, those explosive plays that we're talking about, that 59, 39, 56. And then the poor tackling comes back into play because they're not wrapping their arms around these guys and tackling them, Tony. What's the biggest question right now do you have on defense?
Well, I have, and we already have said they're using the same system, or schematically, they're doing the same thing. But obviously, that's not working right now. So you got to make some changes. You got to do some stuff. You may have to become more aggressive. You may have to blitz a little more. I know you want to depend on your front four, but you got to keep the other quarterback off balance. But first, you got to show up the run because you know what? They were allowing the individuals to run on them. Therefore, they had to play the run first and then pass rush. And that's not going to work. You have to be solid in all the game. And really, first down and second down, when they're running the ball, you got to make sure you take care of that. And you can't give up one player with 230 plus yards catching the ball. A quarterback that hasn't really had a great year yet, but he had a great game against you, running and passing. And then a whole team that really was down, and your team is looking for this to be a win and put them back in position to be in the divisional fight, and they didn't play well. And let's just be truthful with it. And the one thing about it, we're talking about our offense, let's say a plus. No matter what mistakes they make and what the quarterback's holding and everything, they putting 36 points up the last 3 or 4 games. They putting 30-some points up. When I played defense, if you held a team to 17 points or less, you're supposed to win that game. So you know what? They're not doing that. So they need to look at this defense, and they have to shake it up right now. They may have to sit somebody down for a moment. They may have to change it. They may have to blitz a little more, but they have to do something to change the rhythm they're in. Because the rhythm they are in right now is not good.
Well, Tony, you hit it on the head because Ron Rivera, and I think what's disturbing to me is Ron Rivera and Jack Del Rio, 2 defensive guys, and you got this defense that's playing like this. And they said, Ron Rivera, this came out of his mouth, he said the choice of play calling, maybe they need to look at that, and maybe they need to look at their rotations because they're rotating guys in and out, and maybe they need to keep guys in and let them get into the trenches instead of all this substituting and everything. But they made Justin Fields, Tony, look like the golden boy, the golden child. He ain't no Patrick Mahomes. He was 15 to 29 for 282 yards, 4 touchdowns. He was sacked 3 times. But Tony, Justin Fields, Coach Rivera said, hey, he's a great quarterback and whatever. Come on. I mean, let's not give him that many accolades. This defense just played poorly, period, Tony. But for them to let Justin Fields run around, and they had just played Jalen Hurts the week before. And they knew that Chicago was going to come in. And I'm not buying this short week and all this. It's 4 weeks in a row. This defense looked like they're going backwards, Tony, instead of forward.
And that's what you hate to talk about because that's what you don't see changes making. And as you said, it has been 4 weeks in a row we've watched it. And it has to be in the same time frame that they're trying to work another player back in. So you can't blame him. And I just look at this whole thing. I got to sit down as a coordinator and say, look, I got to make this happen. You got to keep pressure on the other offense. You can't let them just do what they want to do. And that's what Chicago was doing. Here's a team that couldn't even cross the goal line hardly in the last 5 weeks. Now they come in here and the quarterback turns into a superstar. He looked like the quarterback up there in Maryland. So you know what? We can't have that. And if your team, and it's time now to stop talking about this is a young team and no, your team should be ready to move. You did get in the playoffs a couple of years ago. You were close last year, even though you should not have been. You should be even closer this year, not further away. And that's what we're seeing, and that's what's disturbing. And we know we got new organization and new people in here and everything. I like Magic to get upset because what they said in USA Today, I was reading, it said he's going to hold some people accountable. And that's what has to happen. Just like you want to walk in there and get your check every Monday, you need to walk in there after you do your job and get your check. If you don't do your job, you don't even need to go in there, which I know is not going to happen. But at the same time, what I'm saying is they're getting paid every Sunday. They should play every Sunday. It's not nothing to say, oh, well, they just had an off day. When you're a professional athlete, professional anything, you go out and do your job every day. You can't afford, airplane pilots can't have bad days. So you can't have a bad day. They need to get this defense and they need to shake it up some kind of way. When I say shake it up, I don't mean cut somebody or something. Sit somebody down. Let them see, hey, you're not doing your job. And we're going to have somebody, if you're going to get beat, we'll have somebody in there else trying to learn to get beat. Going to have to do some things like that. And that's not just on the defense, on that offensive line. Now, they're getting a little better, but the quarterback is getting a little better, not holding the ball as long. And they've turned in the short pass game for their running game. I like to see them run more, but you do see improvement. Look at the last 4 weeks. We are giving up 36 points a game. That's not acceptable. Not at all.
Yeah, Tony, like you said, you expected the offense. Everybody knew that the offense would be the one that got slow out the blocks and that would struggle a little bit. But like you said, Magic Johnson, what I like you said, Magic seems like he's holding this team accountable. When he first came in, the first thing he said is he's just about not investing in this team. He came to win. He's got a winning attitude. He's the one before, and nothing less than winning is going to be acceptable to him, and it should be for everybody else. The discipline on defense looks like it's missing. Chase Young said after the game is when they asked him about the slow starts, he said, we just need to start faster. We just need to start faster. Well, my question is, why aren't you starting faster? We know you need to start faster, but you haven't been for 4 weeks. And then, Tony, that Coach Rivera talked about, that they need to make sure, like I said, that they're doing their jobs, their assignments, and then they need, as coaches, to put them in the best position to make plays. And I know you said that it may not be the coaching, but I think it's a combination of Jack Del Rio. He's got all the talent out there. And Chase Young said after the game that it's not Jack Del Rio and all that. Okay, Chase, you said that, but I think it's a combination of the coaching too, putting the players in positions and maybe their rotation, looking at their rotation, looking at the play calling and everything and adjusting all of that. I think the players need to adjust and also the coaching needs to adjust also.
I've seen that, and even through my career, and the reason I'm bringing this up now, I wanted to bring up a name that I've had a couple of my old teammates pass this weekend. The one that passed yesterday, a couple of days ago, was Dick Buckus. And when you say you have to make changes, I remember the game, and we happened to be playing the Washington Redskins my rookie year. And I had played before that week before against Detroit, and I did pretty well. And then the next week, the guy that started came in against Washington. He got hurt, and the defensive coach put in another guy. Dick Buckus called out. He called a timeout, went over there and told them to put me in. And I ended up blocking the pass to win the game. But the thing about it was they made a change right in the middle. He made a change. And my head's off. They talk about a lot of things about Dick Buckus and how great a linebacker he was. But he had a football mind. He had everything. We need that right now. We need a shock right now. We need a player that's used to playing that don't get to play maybe for a half or a quarter or something.
Hungry.
Wake them up, and that's what's going on. You could talk about you were a number 1 draft choice. Now you're just a football player in the NFL and you need to do your job. It doesn't matter about where you were drafted anymore, except when you're trying to get the money. So I can look at 4 number 1, but I also, as I said, they had some really good backups a couple of years ago. They let them all get away. Those guys are going to other teams and flourishing. So you got to look at that, but you can't look at bygones. It's gone now. what you got to look at these last 4 games and analyze. Where did we go wrong? Now, when we weren't playing with Chase, have we adjusted things to Chase can do his job. Let Chase do his work. He has a different way of playing, and everyone has to adjust to it. But at the same time, he's going to make plays for you. But you can't just blame everything on Chase coming back, and you can't blame. You got to look at it. There's only 2 guys on that defensive line that's been consistent the whole year. As I said, Payne and Sweat. And the other guys need to pick up their game. But not just them, everybody, the linebackers, the defensive back, and the coaches.
Hey, Tony, and the reason why we're spending so much time on the defense, because they're the ones that tripping over their own feet right now. And I like what Cam Sims said. It doesn't matter about what kind of talent they got on this team. If they're not displaying that and doing the job, it means nothing. And Tony, Sam, like I said, we didn't spend much time on the offense because I think the offense is starting to play a little bit. Sam was 37 of 51, 388 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. They didn't run the ball much because Howard had 4 runs for 19 yards and Robinson, the back, 6 for 10 yards. But they got behind so quickly that they had to go to the passing game. But Tony, you've got the last word. I mean, Sam was sacked 5 more times. Coach Rivera said he's still holding on to the ball a little bit too long, but you can see improvement on the offensive side of the ball. But the defense need to get in the blocks and get out of the blocks faster. Tony, you got the last words because we're talking about defense, your side of the ball.
But I am going to go back to the offense, and I'm going to digress to go back and say, hey, you can't just blame it on him holding the ball either. They're not holding their men, the offensive line. Let's put it out there where it needs to be.
Holding their blocks.
Exactly. They need to hold their blocks a little longer. Defensively, they need to play as a unit. You can't play as 11 men out there on the field. You got to play as a unit. And until they start doing that, they're going to have a problem. Offense is not a problem when you're putting 30 points up a game and you put them up the last 3 to 4 games. So therefore, we're not worried about that. Defense need to fix it. And you know when you talk about defense wins championships, it also loses them. So if you're looking at this, ladies and gentlemen, we're not trying to be hard on the defense. We just like a baseball.
Yes, we are.
We calling it like we see it. And I'll tell you what, right now, they out. They need to get back in. And as we always say on our podcast as well as our television show, watch us because we're never going to say goodbye. We're going to say in the minute.
In the minute.